Welcome back to Fire Emblem the Blazing Blade. Last time, we became a band of mercenaries, some of us better than others, sorry Will, and now we're moving on to, well, I guess you'll see. The name of this chapter in Occupation Shadow is kind of a bit weird to me because I don't think there's, like, any actual occupation going on here. The game might explain this a little bit. But I do wonder if it's sort of a mistranslation. Oh, right, I'm supposed to be narrating these. She and her colleagues stop for the night at a ruined fortress. The Ganelon bandits are in a rage after their brethren fell to Lin's swords. They race in pursuit of the companions. Their angry footsteps sound closer and closer. That's, I don't know, it's kind of funny that you can tell that their footsteps are angry. But yeah, I'll have to look up what this chapter is in Japanese, because it sounds more like this country, like, it sounds more like a country being occupied by a hostile power, but that's not what's going on here. Okay, I just looked it up, and it means occupation as in employment. I mean, you can forgive me for assuming the other meaning, though, given that this is Fire Emblem. Also, I believe this is the first time we're hearing this. This song's really nice, actually. It's just so peaceful sounding. Yeah, I feel like characters do say, surely you jest a little bit too much in this game. It does feel like a very Alexander O. Smith thing to do. Again, this localization's a mixed bag, but I do feel like, I like it more than a lot of people. Like, it has some glaring mistranslations that I will get to, but, when it's not doing that, I think it's pretty fine. Also, like, the planned growth here on this ruin and that tree, I almost wonder if some of these backgrounds are actually digitized photos. Because I think they did do that for some Game Boy Advance games. Sane, you'll be sleeping in a different room far, far away from all the girls. On pain of Kent punching you in the face. A lot. Meanwhile, the tactician's just there. In all their green unitiness. Speaking of green units. Yeah, the little mini storyline of this chapter in particular is one that I like quite a lot. Because this is Natalie. Small village not too far from it. I think, technically speaking, she lives in Bern. It's like just barely across the border. I just looked that up to make sure I was right about that. Yes, it is indeed from Bern. But yeah, having a leg, like, problem from a childhood sickness. I just realized that, I actually... I might know somebody who does have something similar to that. Like, I wonder if it is something along the lines of some kind of nerve, autoimmune issue. I mean, you know, this is a fantasy world, we don't really know exactly what kind of... But, like, in most of these kinds of worlds, they do, they keep the illnesses relatively grounded. So that they can be kind of understood by our, you know, modern audiences. So her husband left the village to get money to help her. Kind-hearted man, but I think he might be involved in something dangerous. His name is Dorcas. Well, if you're familiar with this game, you will know who he is, but this is an aspect of this chapter I'm going to praise quite a lot. Because, yeah, they directly bring up Dorcas and his circumstances, like, pretty much immediately. And she tells us that, if we see him, tell him Natalie is looking for him. Yeah, I had a feeling they'd show up now. I like how it plays the enemy theme. Also, this guy, I don't know what it is, but, like, this generic, like, bandit portrait always just looked very mouse-like to me. Maybe it's just the buck teeth. There are only a few of them, and some are women. How is that relevant? Well, actually, no. I learned from the previous chapter that's relevant because of the fact that they're implied sex traffickers. Yeah. So, yeah, no real reason to feel bad for fighting these guys. Also, this guy's name is Carjigger, which, I don't know why, it sounds like some kind of weird way to say somebody who steals cars. It's like, he's gonna jig your car. Yeah, pretty souvenirs. I can't believe that went over my head when I was... Again, I was 12 when I first played this. So, if they had these bandits attack at night, this could have been a tutorial for Fog of War. Fortunately, it's not. Also, one of these sprites is not like the others. Yep. That's the name we just heard. You haven't done much since you joined us. You're like the pirates who don't do anything. Never even saw that VeggieTales. I saw a lot of VeggieTales as a kid, but not that. Slight problem. There's no capturing mechanic in this game. This isn't Thracia, so if Dorcas gets to her, he'll just kill her. Or at least he would, but, I'll explain in a moment. Yep, and he's mentioning Natalie. So yeah, Dorcas went off to get money to help Natalie's illness, and she suspects he's involved in something dangerous, and it turns out that he's thrown in his lot with bandits. It just occurred to me, while recording this, that this is a fantasy version of Breaking Bad. I need to, like, I have the full DVD box set of Breaking Bad, and I haven't got around to watching it yet. I really need to, because I've heard really good things. Because, like, I do kind of like a good, the protagonist was slowly becoming the villain all along story. Now, this is actually kind of funny. Lynn says the command is yours, but there's still going to be a lot of railroaded moves here, and that's going to be the subject of something kind of amusing that I will go into in a moment. I've been looking forward to this chapter for numerous reasons. Yeah, in this chapter, your goal is to protect a special character for a set period of time. Keep Natalie safe for 7 turns. Yeah, protection NPCs have that little blue crystal icon on them. I'm not real. I guess it's like a counterpart to the boss's, shield icon, which I didn't actually know was a shield for the longest time. Mark, Natalie, and other green units are called NPCs, though Mark will never show up on the map, like, in terms of actual, you know, like, combat. NPCs are not enemies, but they cannot be moved or given orders. Sometimes green units will be attacked because they're on the field of combat. Now, you can still rescue green units, which is good to know, because that can help you save them. Trust me, knowing this helps immensely in a much later chapter. So now, this fortress has 2 entrances. Yeah, funny you should mention that. That's going to be relevant in a thing that I'm going to talk about soon. So yeah, Lynn is forced to go to the eastern door. Shift the paddle to smaller areas. Now how strong the enemy is, if he's attacking on all sides, he's sure to take massive advantage. Yeah, true. If they can hit you like 4 times in one turn, and if you're in open terrain enough for them to get all around you, then yeah. So the east door is Lynn's, the south door is everyone else. I mean, you could put some other people around Lynn's side, though probably not Florina because it's an archer in that way. So yeah, the tutorial is going to force us to select Lynn and move her here. Remember this later. Other than that, we've got Dorcas up here, who's got some fairly all-round stats, but he also only has a hand axe. Now, in terms of other guys, there's the guy up here who has a droppable iron axe. Gee, why would he be doing that if we don't have any axe users? And then, some of us would like to quickly flick through all the enemies to see if anybody else has anything droppable. They do not. But we also have Carjigger down here. This guy is actually totally optional, but my first playthrough I didn't beat him, but I like to do so now because he's worth a lot of experience. Now, do any of you have hand axes? Iron, 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 iron. There's a bow here. There is also, like Lynn was kind of lying in the intro, there's actually 3 entrances, but this wall's going to take them a long time to break through. There are a couple of mercenaries here. I guess the idea is to have Florina fight them, but there are archers around too. Although on that note, do I have any Okay, no, I don't have any javelins yet. So we're gonna... I think I'm gonna actually just stay back a little bit so that less things come right at us. You go there. Alright, okay, I bought an additional... Oh, right, I was gonna give that to Florina in case she needs more power. So let's give you that, and let's put her in a place where the archer will not explode her. Oh, I suppose I could send Florina the other way. But I would like to get Florina some experience because she becomes very, very strong if you do. Okay, here we go. Hi there, Dorcas. Thank you for being hesitant and... I like how even the sunset is visible even in the background. That's really nice. Nothing that I would have noticed in my first playthrough because I avoided, well, not avoided, but I didn't really... I mean, I guess I avoided the options menu, but yeah, I didn't turn on that form of the options. Yeah, I do quite like the backgrounds. Did I actually use them for the Sacred Stones playthrough? I don't know if I did, because I often tend to not have the backgrounds on. Also, kind of cool that Kent's actually one-rounding these guys. He may have gotten a little lucky with his strength growth, because I feel like this doesn't always happen. Because even on Lin Hard mode, which I'm kind of more used to playing, the enemies will be roughly the same in terms of stats. There is some slight... Okay, I say, oh, he's one-rounding, and finally there's one that he doesn't one-round. But yeah, there is, like, some slight variance in the way enemy stats are calculated. Or rather, the way enemy stats are calculated leads to some slight variance in their initial stats. So I'll explain that afterwards, because next turn there's a thing that's going to happen that's a very important thing. Meanwhile, Natalie's just up there. I like how you hear a tiny bit of that theme. Da 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 da, and then it's over. The fighter who just attacked me. Yeah, the picture of Natalie's husband that we never saw. So, prepare for my favorite Lin mode tutorial, and one that I actually think is done immensely better in this game than in any future Fire Emblem. The Recruitment tutorial. If you think you can converse with someone, move one of your units to an adjacent space. By and large, you'll know whom to send from hints you receive in other conversations. Most of the time, this is true. There's like a couple of recruits in this game where I'm like, there's no way you would know this unless you looked at the... Later on, we'll be getting an in-game fortune-telling system that basically just tells you how to recruit people. But there are some recruits that it's all... But right here, this advice right here is actually amazing. And I don't think any future Fire Emblem ever does this. And it really should, because... so many people who play Awakening for the first time kill Gaius and Tharja in their joining maps because they don't know this logic of, when you're not sure, just use the main character. Because that's how it works. You have Chrom talk to them. And to anybody who's familiar with Fire Emblem tropes, it's painfully obvious that Chrom needs to talk to Gaius and Tharja. But for those who don't, because like the initial recruitment tutorial is with Kellum, a green unit, who you don't even have to recruit, it's kind of optional. So this tutorial is very handholdy, but I like that the fact that you can recruit enemies is direct... Okay, no, let me put it another way. I like that this chapter builds its own self-contained narrative around the enemy recruitment that it wants to teach you about. You meet Natalie, she says that her husband is gone to get money for her sickness. He might be wrapped up in something dangerous. Then you see her husband on the enemy side, and the fact that they are attacking the fort that Natalie is inside. It's obvious that he would not want to fight if he knew that his wife was the one they were attacking. So essentially, also, wow, Dorcas really is Breaking Bad, but fantasy. Like, the story that they tell you, it's a very simple story that's easy to understand. It gives you sympathy for Dorcas immediately, and it kind of eases you into the idea that some enemies can be persuaded to join your side. And that's important because in Awakening, they don't actually teach you that you can recruit enemies, only green units. So some players didn't realize that even though Gaius gives a monologue at the start of his chapter about how, oh, I didn't sign up for this, I just wanted to rob this place, not kill people. So like, that's, to Fire Emblem tropes, that's the indicator that Gaius is recruitable. But like, there's no indicator that like, if you're totally new to the series, how to do that? Some people might think that you have to defeat him and then he'll join you after the map, which, to be fair, future Fire Emblems kind of did this. So, I love this tutorial for that reason. There is one thing I don't like about this tutorial, though. I'll get to that after this spiel. In this way, you can sometimes turn enemies into allies. Never underestimate the power of persuasive speech. Thankfully, there's no, like, failed persuasion checks in this game. Your new companion, Dorcas, is an axe-wielding fighter. Do you remember the weapon triangle? Yeah, this, you know, blah, blah. They probably should have put a lance user near him, though, to demonstrate that. They have more power, but they're also more difficult to hit with. Well, normally that's the case, but in this game, their accuracy got buffed from the previous Game Boy Advance game, so their intended drawback isn't really much of a drawback. Especially because of this. The weapon Dorcas is wielding is called a hand axe. It is one of the most broken things in this game, because it can attack from close or far range. Essentially, it's a bow but better, and Kent and Saint can use these on promotion, which is even more ridiculous. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, tutorial. Oh, tutorial. If only this were actually true. See, like, this is meant to be the idea of, like, you know, they're heavy and inaccurate, so you can't rely on them. That was true in the previous Game Boy Advance Fire Emblem. But they buffed them. And that kind of missed the point, because when hand axes don't have drawbacks, they suddenly become, like, the best option for everything.
How's my health? Well, I had some bad mutton earlier, but I feel fine otherwise.
I was never aware of those memes as a kid because that commercial didn't air in Australia. Dorcas is our first axe user, and we're gonna start fighting lancers relatively soon, so his main niche is in taking care of those enemies. His base stats and growth rates lean heavily towards HP, strength, skill, and not much else. His luck growth is solid, but his base is a pretty low 3, while his speed base is a solid 6, but he has a very low 20% growth in that area, and this is probably Dorcas' biggest problem. While I've said many times that Blazing Blade enemies are slow, Dorcas is slow enough that he might struggle to double even them, even though his high con makes the weight of axes a mostly non-issue. He also just suffers from the fact that paladins can also use axes in this game and are for the most part significantly better than him. He's meant to be the one you use if you want an overkill strength stat, but Sane also has that and he's a paladin. And getting bows on promotion to warrior is once again not that great in a game where bows, well, suck. But Dorcas is still someone who joins relatively early and in Lin mode, meaning there are plenty of opportunities to train him. He also provides the fire affinity for supports, a very good one for pure offense, and supports a decent number of good characters. So if you decide to trust Dorcas when you're building an army, well, you're not going to get entirely stabbed in the back, because there are far worse options for training projects. Sorry, Will. Okay, now normally I keep him there. I want to say Dorcas does actually have dialogue if you move him over to talk to Natalie, although I could be wrong about that. So also, another funny thing about this tutorial. Yeah, that's a scripted critical hit. I'm almost positive that's a scripted critical hit. Dorcas has crit that every single time I've replayed this chapter. And doing that, he now has access to a weapon that's not a hand axe, which is kind of bad, because hand axes are ridiculously powerful. Sometimes there are those who might not want to be able to move, yeah. Yeah, see, sometimes when you're choke pointing, you don't want to actually move everybody. So yeah, place the cursor on an unoccupied space plus the A button. I believe it works that way in Advance Wars as well, but I don't think Advance Wars has auto-end turns the same way that Fire Emblem does. Oh wait, no, it definitely doesn't, because of, you know, they want you to be able to use CO powers and stuff like that. Oh, did Sane not actually double that guy? Interesting, so Kent and Sane are already distinguishing themselves from each other. I mean, I guess. Like, Will could try and fight this guy too, which I guess I kind of would like him to do. So yeah, I really want Florin to go in and get some experience off the enemies. The problem is that Archer is there. The other problem is that, like, See, here's the thing, like, I would love Florina to take these guys out, but, like, Archer. I said last time that, you know, Florina is not actually, like, as weak to archers as you would think. Is Kent okay at this threshold of HP? Suppose we'll see. Because I don't have a dedicated healer now, I'm relying on vulneraries for all my healing. Fun fact about that level up banner, in the European version, they don't actually have it display that big fancy graphic. Instead, it just says level up in small letters, and I think the reason they do that is to make it easier to translate into other languages. Hey, level up for Kent and Sane. Kent and Sane do have a support with each other. Yeah, they are definitely distinguishing themselves in the way that you'd expect. Sane has the highest strength, Kent has the highest speed. So, how dead is Florina if she goes down? Okay, firstly, I don't think she'll be able to finish off this 7. Nope. She doesn't double with the Iron Lance. So yeah, she can't go there yet, but, she only takes 3 damage from the Merc, and 8 from the Bandit. So that's a little scary, but the Archer, I need to not, you know, have that happen. See, the thing with Kent is that his high speed means that he may suffer something that I like to refer to as death by awesomeness. That is, when a character is... Well, okay, this guy has 1 more HP, though, so he survives, and that's fine, so yeah. When a character keeps fighting enemies and keeps killing them on the enemy phase, the damage from all of their attacks will eventually just accumulate until they might take more damage than you would normally think. So, like, for example, if Kent did kill that bandit, the mercenary might have attacked him, and then the archer would have attacked him after that, and then Kent would be taking a lot of damage in a single turn, and he'd be coming closer to death. So, I like to call that death by... Some people call that suffering from success. I think in Japanese, the fandom calls that, like, yatsuke make, which is, like, losing from doing too much, I think. And reinforcements. Oh, that's a mercenary. Lin can't even double that guy, which is a little sad. But I suppose she could just position herself down there and attempt to Manai Katai him. I do want to take out the boss before this chapter is over, because, you know, I like experience. So, okay. Okay, I'm pretty sure even Sane doubles that. No, exactly doubles that, actually. So... And then there's a guy down there. So I'm just trying to piece together how I can do this and still not have Florina go boom. Because, like, here's my idea. I mean, that bandit's probably dead this turn anyway, so I guess I can use the Iron Lance. There's actually something else that I want to talk about the Dorcas tutorial, but I think I'll wait until the chapter is over, because I'm kind of going on to other topics at this point, so... Kent... okay, right then. So, if you go down there and... I think I can probably afford to do this. Oop, that's a little worrying. Well, at least you dodged. Okay, good. Hit the second one, that's fine. Because, I need this archer to be gone, so Kent can head down here. Oh, that's enough. I have a very... Like, okay, I believe the odds of missing a 99 under true hit are 1 in 1,000. Because you have to roll, 100, you have to roll, above a 99. Again, I forget if it goes up to 99 or if it just goes up to, if it goes from 0 to 99, but it's like a 1 in 100 chance. You basically have to hit a 1 in 100 chance twice, because the average of the 2 random numbers needs to be missing with a 99. Whereas the odds of that... Okay, nice one, Lynn. The odds of that happening with 1 random number is literally just 1 out of 100. When I said that, like, some modern Fire Emblems use hybrid systems, what I mean by that is that, like, hit rates hit rates below 50 have, like, just the raw displayed hit, whereas hit rates above 50, have true hit. Oh, Kent's actually quite ahead of Sane in terms of levels. Maybe I will end up using Kent in this playthrough. We'd actually still have quite a bit more time in terms of turn count. Let's see. Well, Sane just kills you. You also only have... Yeah, you're just straight up dead, so... Well, that's somewhat unfortunate. I mean, you can actually try and break this wall yourself, but... Okay, you know what? I'm gonna not run out ahead. I'm gonna just stay back here and heal a bit. I could actually just move the defensive line down a little bit. I think Sane's okay like that, and then Florida will just head back there. I think the boss does move, but I could lure this archer in with Lyn. I mean, I could try and fight that mercenary as well, but you know what, I'm gonna... This is kind of weird, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but, like, let's lure the archer with Lyn, and then let me just, yeah, he can talk! Probably suboptimal doing this, you don't get any reward out of this conversation, and it'd be better to have Dorcas up there where Lyn is. Like, it's better to lure the archer with Dorcas' hand axe, because that way it takes a counter-attack, but I always wanted to get this conversation. Yeah, you don't really know it right now, because we've been doing our job properly, but there are bandits attacking this fort, and yeah, I'm gonna manually end the turn at this point. Yeah, it's gonna take forever for them to actually get through that wall. So, hello there, you are actually dead, unfortunately, because I would like Florida to get your experience. But yeah, I suppose I can talk about what I meant about the randomness on enemy stat generation. So, enemies technically, like... Okay, they don't technically work the same way your level ups do, but basically every generic class in this game has its own class growth rates. So when an enemy whenever an enemy is like generated in terms of stats, hello, more enemies. Whenever an enemy's stats are generated, I think I actually need to vulnerate Lyn, like, as much as I'd like to do that, actually, hang on, will the mercenary... No, the mercenary will not kill her. And that guy won't even be able to reach, so I actually think Lyn is... Let me just check. You know, Lyn is fine if she does this. Because this archer is, like, super dead. Well, unless she misses a 95, which would be incredibly terrible, but she did not good, okay. So, like, yeah, so for every enemy on the map, the game kind of... like, okay, this guy's only level 1. Are any of the enemies here above level 1? Can I actually... Okay, this guy's level 2. So, what the game would do is, this game would take the generic Brigand base stats, and then it would roll 1 level up for this enemy, and add those stats, to their base stats, to get the stats that you actually see here. And the way that a certain difficulty that I'll talk about once we finish Lyn mode works is it actually just adds a number of extra invisible level ups to every enemy on the map. That's annoying. Okay, so she doubles that guy, but not that guy. Oh yeah, this guy's level 3, so yeah, he got a lot more extra speed. The thing is that because of, like, the random nature of enemy growth rates... I really want Florida to get experience here, but, like... Okay, you know, maybe... That's 9. Attack 12. Same, so if she gets hit, she'll... Yeah, maybe I should just go for the safe option here. There'll be plenty of time to feed Florida kills later. It'd be kind of cool if I get her the kill on the boss, but we'll see how that works out. In fact, yeah, maybe I should have set her up here, because there are some mercenaries come... Actually, you know what? That would be better. Let's get her over to these mercenaries, although granted, I kind of want Florida to take out that guy, but you know what? I guess Will can, because lol. So, the game doesn't actually roll for the stats of enemy level ups the same way it does for yours. It's a little technical, but... Okay, let me just get up the actual explanation of how this works. So yeah, instead of rolling for every stat individually, the way that enemy level ups are calculated is the game takes the class growth rate for that class and then multiplies that as a percentage. So for example, if the class is a 20% speed growth, it will multiply that number by 0.2. It'll multiply 0.2 by the number of level ups that enemy has. And then it takes this number and then rolls a random number between 7/8 and 9/8 of this value. and then gives the enemy that many extra points in that stat. And then it rolls a single number between 0 and 99. If this number is less than the decimal part found in step 2, the unit gains an extra point in the stat. So essentially what that means is that it's like, if you've got, say, like, let's say that you end up rolling out of that. Like, assuming this is a much stronger enemy that we're accounting for. Let's say that you get an average of, like, 10.5 when you multiply the enemy's level gains by their class growth. So 10.5. Basically, it means that the enemy has an extra 50% chance of getting one more point in that stat. So, like, this is complicated, and you don't really need to know the exact specifics, but I wanted to talk about them because, like, it's... Like, I don't know, I like this particular detail. The TLDR version is, this explains why, if you restart a chapter, the enemies might have different stats. So you might double attack some enemies that you didn't double attack previously, like if you have to reload a chapter. So that is, so that's pretty cool. But another, I think I'm gonna have to station... Yeah, let's have Sane on deck in case Lynn and Florida need backup against the boss, which they probably will. Yeah, his HP's fine. I don't think I need to heal him. I definitely do need to heal Kent, though. Or do... I do need to heal Kent. Although, granted, Kent can actually fly up here and, like, smack this guy. Although his Iron Sword is running out. I think I will need to give him Lynn's Iron Sword eventually. Because she's gonna just be using the Manikardi. I had a feeling Kent would get hit there, actually. I can't not call it the Manikatai. It's just a cooler name to me. But yeah, so, like, essentially the enemy stats are, like, kind of... Instead of just being completely random, they're basically their average stats for that level, plus or minus 2 points either way. That's kind of how it works. So there's a little bit of randomness, but not as much randomness as you would get if you rolled for the enemy stats in the same way that you would roll for a normal level up. In fact, I kind of feel like the reason why it's calculated this way is just because the boss isn't even moving. Okay, then. Well, yeah, I've got Lynn and Sane both on this guy. I think this should be over, assuming... actually, I think if all three of these people hit, I don't think he dies, because, like, 8, 16, 24. I think Lynn actually does need to crit, although he is going to attack on his turn. Even though this is the last turn, he is going to, like, the enemies still get a turn, so, yeah. I can actually also explain a fun fact about the way that defend maps work after this, but, yeah, anyway, I hope I didn't bore you all with my explanation of how the enemy level ups work, but, like, essentially, like... I do wonder if the reason why they work this way is so that it saves time, because, like, maybe the game would just lag massively if it had to, like, actually roll the level ups for every single enemy, like, on every stat. Because, yeah, like, later on in the game when you have a lot of enemies in play, that would take way too long. But it is sort of cool that you've got, like... Okay. I think Sane actually has to fight one of these. Otherwise, Kent... Is Kent in danger? 13, 13. 5 defense. Yes, if he somehow got hit by both of them, he would die. I would use the hand axe there, but I actually think that it's, like, better to sort of save it. So, okay. I go in the woods here. Like, technically, oh, okay, if Lynn even gets hit once, she's actually done. Okay, that's a little risky, but I want to beat this boss. Oh, nice crit there, Sane. I think actually due to the way the RNG works, if Sane had attacked the boss there, he would have crit. But I'm not going to just go back and reload. But yeah, as you can see here, Sane's getting solid speed and strength, which kind of will mean that he's just, like, kind of better in general, but... Okay. I mean, the odds of getting hit by a 15 under true hit are astronomically low, but I don't want those to be famous last words. Okay, right, that's a... Okay, I got the crit. Did you just act like you were facing your shadow in Persona? But yeah, I don't often actually beat this guy, but like oftentimes in defend maps where like you're not required to beat the boss, I like to just beat the boss because you know, it's extra experience. I like to get experience. Despite that, I often do terribly at the experience rank in this game. Because of the way that it kind of calculates things. I feel like if you had... She might have doubled with the Slim, but I don't think it would have one-rounded. And you are... Yeah, I'm glad that I had Sane take out the other one. So, that's the last turn. So yeah, now, I believe that it's actually Kajika who says this if he's still alive. Reminds me of one of the Path of Radiance maps. So, that fun fact about defend maps that I was talking about is that if you wait out the full timer, and you have no choice but to do this here, because some defend maps end early if you kill the boss, this one doesn't. If you wait out the full timer, the game will actually count as you taking an extra turn than you did. So that actually counted as 8 turns instead of 7. I guess because, like, the map ends on, like, the beginning of your 8th turn. So it's more logical than I thought it was. But that's important because of... rankings later. So, Dorcas and Natalie are reunited, and all's well that ends well. It's a good thing Dorcas didn't stay with those bandits. After all, they have a cruel sense of humor. Who knows what might have happened to him?
The drums of war are beating. No man can be trusted. What happened to Dorcas? I put poison in his mutton.
And that's not the only thing that I want to talk about here, because remember when I said there was one problem that I had with the tutorial? Well, if you were to somehow lose everybody except Lynn before this chapter, this chapter is soft-locked, because the tutorial will force Lynn to go to the eastern entrance of the fort and recruit Dorcas, leaving Natalie completely exposed, and by the time Lynn is able to rush back to her, it will be too late, because she is guaranteed to be one-round killed by any of the enemies. So, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't catch that in testing, but I guess if you lost everyone except Lynn before this chapter, it's kinda your fault. Apologies for these Switch gallery recordings, but one thing that I wanted to show here is that I've often heard that one of the quote-unquote funniest ways to get a game over in this game is being on hard mode and having Dorcas kill Natalie. But here's the thing, you'll see here that this is hard mode, so I haven't recruited Dorcas, and he is currently in range of Natalie and no one else. He did not attack her. Now here, I am intentionally moving everybody out of range of Dorcas just to continue to show this point, because if there is somebody in his range, like one of your characters, he will attack them. But having rescued Will here, there's no one else in his range, and you see, he moves up to Natalie and doesn't attack her. But note here that if you do this and don't put anybody in Dorcas's range, he will actually stand in front of Natalie and prevent any other enemy from getting to her, winning you the defend map even though he's still an enemy, which is very in character. Yeah, this is actually map over, and that's what it looks like if you leave the boss alive. Also, another thing is, there is different dialogue if you finish this map without recruiting Dorcas. You can only see this on hard mode. Now, this part of the conversation is basically the same, however, there's different dialogue at the end where Dorcas just goes home and doesn't join your army. So yeah, this map has a different ending. And now back to the good timeline. Yeah, it's actually really depressing, the dialogue that Lynn has for failing this chapter. She was very persuasive, even though she doesn't say anything. Well, you're certainly better off with us than with those bandits. Ah, this music's great. Yes, that almost happened with Kent there. Thankfully, Sane rushed in and saved him. He totally redeemed himself for that earlier force blunder with the tutorial. Nobody trusts me. Well, you're a good unit at least. And that's the end of the chapter. So, I'll see you all next time when... Yeah, I believe next time we'll be getting our first magic users. See you all then.